Look at the beautiful.
And I believe that's what we're about to do. So, Lishan, I know that this has been a project you've undertaken as you've been getting back into photography and so on. I'm curious, look at the beautiful. Why this particular cover image? Are you looking at the beautiful in things that might look careworn, janky, or creepy? Or are you thinking about this is beautiful in a way? Like, what are you thinking here? And how does the title relate to this cover?
This is some old toys in a Parisian flea market. And I like it because it looks like they're looking at each other. And you'll see that this is a theme throughout the book of people looking at people or people looking at dogs and dogs looking at people. And just this idea of the gaze, right? And how we've look at each other in urban spaces. But I think I'm also saying something else here with this cover, which is, yeah, sometimes the kitschy, sometimes very creepy is also beautiful. And I want to expand on the definition of beautiful and really appreciate the beautiful in different ways.
I guess anything is beautiful in the right light. I wouldn't want to run into those in a dark closet, with scary music and lightning. But, in a sunny flea market, I can look at the beautiful there.
This is from the foreword that I wrote. This is just the opening. I kind of made it a little poetic, but it's like a reminder to look up, look down, look at the beautiful all around. Beautiful in front of your face. Beautiful is in bad taste. And beautiful is too good to waste. So it sounds a little Dr. Seussy, which I think plays with some of the creepy toys and things going on there too. But I think, again, it's a reminder, especially in this phase of the pandemic, this phase in history, to look at the beautiful, but to rethink what beautiful means as well. This is the photo that inspired the title of the book. This is a window display in a beauty salon here in Cambridge. And I just thought it was such a funny thing to say, look at the beautiful, and then have a mirror there. And so I actually take a selfie in that mirror every time I walk by now.
Really?
Just, it's become like a ritual. It's like, okay, it's different light. Maybe my hair is different on a given day. And it's a good reminder. It's a kind of cheesy and self-helpy, but I really appreciate it. We're going to flip through the book, which is about 50 pages and 60 different images. This is an outline of a whale that's under a bridge with these folks boxing in Paris. And that silhouette, that shadow is me taking the photo from the top of the bridge. There's a lot of people and dogs in this book. And yeah, they just make me happy.
So on this page, we see like two of my favorite standalone photos because, obviously water cities, United States of Vasello, like these old cities are all built on, I suppose it's not just coastal cities that are built on water, but certainly New York and Boston are. And as two places that have been home for me at various points in my life, there's definitely something appealing about this. The one in New York, I love it's a view of the city we don't often see. And, sometimes looking at the beautiful maybe requires shifting perspective. What was going through your mind when you saw this? First off, can you just tell me like where you took this photo and when?
Yeah, this is August 2021 in Williamsburg. And often the best view of the Manhattan skyline is from Brooklyn or Queens or from the New Jersey side. Again, I'm kind of fascinated with just making photos of people looking at things. And this guy had kind of climbed over some of the barriers to get right up to the river and was looking at the skyline. And I thought it was just so interesting to see all of this greenery framing the shot. Because as you say, we don't usually think about Manhattan or New York City as like a super green place, certainly not on that skyline level. And so being able to see this here framed by all of this greenery, it almost looks kind of tropical.
And so this one on the Boston side, I guess?
Yeah, this is the Boston side, the Charles River Esplanade, looking towards Cambridge, and you can see some MIT buildings there.
I guess there's something about residents or citizens of a city living in it. And this is a theme that I think shows up repeatedly in some of these photographs, like people's relationships to public space, I think are interesting.
Yeah.
And especially as this is all coming in the pandemic, some of these photos were in that brief period in between mass vaccination and the rise of Delta. So there was a different mood,
Definitely.
And we're recording this in late December as Omicron just starts to take off. And so there have been different waves, but like the different waves of COVID make me think about how people are relating to the space and public spaces in particular, because being outside was something fearful, like outside the confines of home, right?
Right.
But also being in places that are open outdoor spaces were one of the few reprieves that we all had from the virus over these last 2 years. So I just think that's interesting that there's a relationship to place that I think is really pronounced.
Yeah, that we're looking at the people, looking at the beautiful, or that they've kind of staged the shots as well as this
themselves,
unwitting collaboration, right? Or they've created a view for themselves, and then we've kind of zoomed back to do the over-the-shoulder shots of them. So I chose to mix and match. The photos are not in chronological order, and I've mixed and matched different places because I think it's a way of just talking about the blur of time and space that we've been experiencing. So the photos on the left side are from Paris. This is also along the river, the Seine. I just thought this was funny how the dog was interested in something else compared to the people all looking in the same direction. This is just a few feet past those three people and the dog. And I was just really drawn to the colors of this guy's outfit. This one of JFK, this is just so perfect. The clouds were so evocative coming out of the JetBlue terminal and seeing this old TWA terminal, now hotel, and then the guy kind of looking to the side.
The forward arrows on the airport photo, I think, are very interesting. And the lanes, like the texture in some of the broken paint, it is just very interesting because there are a lot of different textures, and despite being fairly linear in many places, what strikes me as interesting here are those intersections. And then you have the super swoopy, curvy TWA building, which sort of stands out a little bit. Uses of public space, I guess, are interesting to me here. So we've got Cambridge and Paris.
I love this skate park. It's like literally under the highways. You can see next to some factory here in Cambridge. This young woman here with the red was just so striking, especially with the American flag in the background. And I paired this with the woman in Paris with the red purse just to kind of connect things together color-wise.
I know that you're a particular fan of the photo of this woman at the intersection in Paris. So can you tell a little bit more of the story there?
It was a hot early September day. I was walking around with my cameras, just looking for things, which is pretty easy in Paris, especially Paris in warm weather. It's like everything looks good. And this is just outside the Opera House. And I thought this woman was so striking with the long skirt and that red purse and the way that her feet are pointed one way, but she's turned her torso and her head the other way while she's on the phone. Like, is she looking for someone? Is she trying to like meet the person she's talking to on the cell phone? I don't know, but it was just like so striking because she looked so polished in the way that she was dressed.
I mean, it's a great example of a photo that was not posed, but what a pose in it.
Yeah. It's really like a Bill Cunningham-esque street style kind of thing. Again, it's just very easy to find fashionable people in beautiful settings in Paris. This couple with the matching red, I thought was just great, and the matching cardigans, which is also funny because it was like probably 85 degrees that day.
People looking at people.
People looking at people, people taking pictures of people, again, just exploring this theme. But I also think it was funny, the guy that has like the black and white striped shirts in this place with the pillars with the vertical black and white stripes. I just thought that was
His are horizontal. And
yeah, that's what I mean. Horizontal with the vertical stripes.
It's like one of these things is not like the others.
Paris again. I was just sitting on a bench and this couple walked by me and it was just
in like mismatched levels of dressiness.
Yeah, which I think is pretty common among male-female couples you see. And yeah, I just loved how strikingly blue her pants are and just like that, the sort of bringing her in to his arms. I thought it was just a great moment. This is another object from that flea market in Paris, which just seemed like a voodoo doll or something. But what I found most striking was just that blue where those nails are.
I guess when I cut open a statue, I wouldn't expect to see blue.
Yeah. And then this is also just like too perfect. The guy who matches the real estate ad awning. And you can see I'm in the reflection there. I'm walking by with my colleague, Jack, as we were getting a coffee. I think we were on a break from class.
I mean, he does look like he's ready to buy a home in Paris or sell one.
Yeah. You really just the whole look, right, of the blue and then the white pants and then the matching dog. Yeah, I just thought it was like, I don't know, it was so cute. Very like Hawaii, this daikon sticking out of this woman's bag. And then this was just a piece of guerrilla street art, this mask, this face that was stuck onto the side of a building. Beautiful young people. I do wonder about couples like this. Are they the kind of people who just have everything that's black, white, and gray, or did they coordinate this as a couple's outfit?
It's probably just easy to wear black, white, and gray.
I guess so. Back to the Hamptons. That is just like this whole stereotypical like white linen in the Hamptons in the summertime. And I just thought it was funny to see them walking by the dock house, which is also like white and blue in terms of their color story there and how they just match up with the decor. Like you see their legs and then you see the legs of the chairs. I just thought it was a great juxtaposition there. And then more wearing white in the Hamptons. But I like these shots where it's almost like a stopping time of a ballet, where the streets are like a stage in that sense, and just the position of the legs and how things are stopped in this moment, I found really compelling.
This is one of my favorite photos. Like, that guy in the red, it just looks like he's in a Mario game, you know?
Yeah.
And you see the obstacles with the cars and the buses, and you can imagine some Mario music playing in the background. This seems interesting because, to your earlier point about people looking at things, there's another photo that you have of a couple posing for wedding photographs that we'll see later on, and they're kind of like not the main event of the photo. And I think that's almost prefigured in a way with this one. It does seem like, oh, look, there's someone getting in a car. There's someone in the other car looking at the couple. They're the photographers. And so where were you positioned when you took this? And what stories were you seeing unfold?
Yeah, I actually took this from inside. I was taking the stairs down to exit the hotel. This is also in Williamsburg. They had windows like in the stairway walking down, and I just saw this scene happening, and it just seemed so staged again. It was like you had these three random strangers walking by, this photo shoot happening with this couple trying to celebrate their wedding, and then these people looking on, and it just, these connections, right? These lines of sight between all the different people there, I thought was interesting, again, exploring this idea of the street as stage.
I mean, I guess there's that theme of like uses of public space again. You know, we carve out private spheres or have private interactions in these public spaces. And that's what we see with this couple, right? Like that's a perfect illustration, I think, of like an act that is, you know, really focused on two people, but there are a bunch of other stories happening there too.
Yeah. And that they're part of it. Like the random people are part of it, even if they're not in the shot of the professional photographer. This one's also Brooklyn. This is McCarran Park. And
McCarran Park is so different.
And I just loved like the different layers of it and how like the bars kind of break things up, like the random shirtless guy in the back, or like the older gentleman doing, I guess, ab exercises. And so you have like in the foreground, the guys talking and then all the stuff happening behind there, and looking at how the lines break things up, I guess, across the depth of things. Paris again. I just thought the lines were interesting here. This is like a ramp going up from the river up to like a more elevated walkway, and how it interacts with the lines painted in the sidewalk. And this lady here just really enjoying the warm weather and the sunlight. But I juxtapose the young and the older and the green and then this kind of concrete.
It's like that skater was like, oh, no carbs, no whatever, because I need abs. And this other woman's like, yo, I'm just tired.
Yeah,
it's just light.
she's earned it. Yeah.
She's like, I put those days behind me. Maybe we all have such sense.
I just thought this was funny to have like this woman walk by the boys' club. These are actually some of my students in Paris, and it just looked so sculptural here, like the people looking in different directions with the actual sculpture and the Eiffel Tower in the back. Juxtapositions of male, female, walking to the right, walking to the left, dogs. People really love their New Balances here in Boston.
It's a local company, right?
I think so.
This one gives me vibes. Oh gosh, what's that famous painting? Capturing that sense of like American enemy or whatever. The folks in the cafe.
Yeah, it's Edward Hopper's Nighthawks, this painting here. Yeah, I definitely got a feeling of that, like, except for the guy who has the mask. You can see there, like, there's a kind of timeless quality to it, or the way that he's dressed was kind of a little anachronistic too, I guess.
Hopper-esque.
Yeah, it does harken back to an era where men wore hats. And then this is sort of like the Boston version of that Brooklyn one with the wedding scene, but I just loved the really long shadows here on the Canada geese and how they just looked like dinosaurs and kind of monstrous while this couple's just enjoying their picnic on that bench and other things are going on.
Monstrous?
Monstrous, like in a cute way, like in the way that like kids find dinosaurs cute. Again, juxtaposing the older woman and the younger woman. I like the lines here of the architecture and then the hedges and just the way that her leg is peeking out. And she was not posing for me. I don't know who she was posing for. And it was also like 85 degrees. So I don't know what the deal was with the coat, but she was just standing there like she was posing for someone. And almost like asking someone to take a photo.
You didn't see another photographer there?
No.
Oh, well, that's surprising.
Yeah, I think she was like waiting for a friend or something. Yeah.
Maybe she saw you standing there with a camera?
And then decided that she was going to pose for me. I don't know. I just like these little things like, oh, there's a plant growing in the facade of a building in Brooklyn. And I find that beautiful.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way, or these like accidental complements of color between like what people are wearing or the lime scooter or like the car in that awning. Just like, oh, these coincidences that create these color stories.
Another person and dog?
Yeah, and this one shows the qualities of light, the way that he's reflected both on the hood of that Audi, but also in that window, and then framed by all of the architectural elements going on. Washington Square Park. This girl was definitely posing. There was another photographer there who seemed to be her friend. I just thought it was really interesting what she was doing with her hand as part of the pose there. And the guy's just in the background, like drawing or writing or something.
Her hand almost looks like it's posed from a kind of dance or performance or something, you know?
Yeah.
No comment.
Skaters just look cool. I like to photograph them, I guess. I don't actually know if this is the same dog. The one on the left I took at the dog park right near our place in Cambridge, and then the dog on the right was over on the Boston side of the river.
Very dog face.
Very dog face. And then I just love this look that this woman is giving to the dog. While the dog's like looking at, I guess, cars driving by under this bridge. And then like, what are these people looking at? You know?
That's not like a calm overpass. So the dog does seem pretty relaxed and
Yeah.
just intrigued there.
And it's not particularly scenic either as a place to pause and look. So there's no photoshopping here. This is a goose and then just reflections of nearby buildings in the water to create this like almost surreal, like tie-dye psychedelic look to it. And then you mentioned this one earlier, another one of people taking marriage shots, but I just like all the other stuff going on there, right? With the
It's not really sure what else is going on here. I mean, like, what is that vehicle?
I think it's like a tourist vehicle. I mean, it's like a golf cart kind of thing that takes tourists around, but I don't know if that guy is like sitting down or getting up, but the way that he's like leaning in towards the other person and just capturing that moment, I thought it was kind of funny. And then there's the woman on the left who's taking a picture or something. There's like tourists and then people trying to take their wedding photos, and I liked kind of zooming out to the different uses of these public spaces.
Well, yeah, to the earlier point, it's about like living your life in public. And
a real celebration of that, since we weren't able to do that for a while. Yeah, similar, just different uses of these public spaces. This is here in Cambridge near MIT, or this is MIT. I like this urban canyon and the way that the light just bounces off things, you know, it just feels so futuristic. And then this one is just sort of peak Boston, right? City of joggers. And then you got the Celtics mascot kind of looking at us or winking or something. I just thought it was funny, the different lines of sight. Mother, daughters.
That pointing is interesting. I wonder what she's pointing at.
Yeah.
Also, that's a funny way of wearing that bag. I could just imagine like these little kids are trying to make the walk home more interesting.
Yeah.
And so like the bag is a cape, or it's a lightweight burden or something. And it's like, oh, but I'll carry it anyway. Or maybe she was made to.
That's the thing with those side bags. It's like you're always like off centered. So it's like, okay, we can wear it as a cape, can balance the load a little bit. Just great hair all around in this spread. This mother-daughter duo with the dog. I love the way that the dog's paw is bent there. Just so like elegant and sinewy. Los Angeles.
Looks like she's waiting for someone.
She's waiting for someone. It was just like perfect, like the way that the sun and the shadows were falling. And then the sense of scale, right, of like person height, building height, palm tree height, and then...
It does look like a hot day, though. You know, like there's something about like this photo that just makes it look sweaty and hot in the way that, you know, like Do the Right Thing just looked hot. You know, it was set during a heat wave and you felt it.
Totally.
Through every image. I get a sense of that here.
Yeah, there's something just so quintessentially California here. I put these together to point out the orange in the guy's shirt and then that one orange awning in these buildings.
Like the tagline for that awning is like, think different.
Think different. I'm always interested in shadows too, the way that his shadow interacts with the painting on the sidewalk. I thought it was kind of interesting.
This is a bit macabre, but it almost looks like a chalk outline that you see on a, you know, homicide TV show.
Yeah. And then this is juxtaposing on the left side. Those are both Williamsburg in August. And on the right side, that's Wilson the dog in probably February, as you can see from the snow. She was not posing for me. I got it exactly in this moment as she was turning around with the skyline in the background. And I just love how the other people are just carrying on with whatever they're doing in their lives.
Mm-hmm. It almost looks in this one as though the woman who is there in real life in this photograph, in the bottom right, it looks as though she's daydreaming or imagining. Yeah. And like then you see like a glimpse into her mind with the billboard or whatever.
I liked the tongue kissing in that window display and then the little ice cream mascot with its tongue out too.
Well, that's funny. I didn't notice that. I mean, it definitely seems like she's daydreaming about making out with someone.
Yeah, or having ice cream, or both.
It's like ice cream or make out. You know, like you're just deciding rather than daydreaming.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell a story about Wilson the dog, since we're looking at a photo of him now?
So Wilson, rest in peace. He passed in August, and he really loved the snow. Well, he also loved leaves, but I think he liked his paws crunching under icy snow or leaves or things like that. So this is just a walk we took last winter, and I just thought the light was perfect. You could see just his enjoyment of being outside, even though he was by then an older dog who often struggled with things, but he seemed pretty happy and peppy that day. And I think the cold weather really brought him alive more.
Oh, he loved the cold. He just loved playing in the snow when he was younger, just enjoying the presence of it as he was older. And so it's a nice way to remember him.
Yeah, I have other photos of Wilson that didn't make it into the book that are more like moody indoor portraits where you can kind of see the seriousness of this older dog. But I really liked this one in terms of the joy, capturing the joy of being outside. And that's the end.
Why did you decide to end with these two?
I think there's something so everyday about this, right? The couple with the dog, but then the dog is kind of striking. I mean, it's a big dog, big, beautiful dog. And then the couple on the right, that's Paris again. And I just loved the way that the water looked and the way that that complements the guy's shirt. Like just this little everyday thing of how taking a picture can be beautiful as well. So I think it's a way of just recapitulating some of the themes in the book of people and animals and people in public spaces and people looking at people.
Yeah, I mean, several of the photos that you've included here just seem so ordinary. Mm-hmm. And, you know, in thinking about that juxtaposition of like very ordinary setting and activity, do you want to think about like, look at the beautiful in that respect?
Yeah, there's definitely some of these photos that I would print out as standalone prints if I were doing a gallery show or something that work as independent pieces of art. But some of the ones, as you mentioned, like these that I end with are pretty ordinary. And I like the format of a photo book in this sense because you can juxtapose these more like artistic standalone photos with things that are just everyday life, which for me just reinforces the theme and the title of the book, Look at the Beautiful, right? Even these passing, fleeting, everyday moments can be beautiful if we frame them as such. And this is the back cover. Beautiful mushroom I saw on one of my walks in Sag Harbor. Look at the beautiful.
We just did.
The end.